What's up guys, Lifting here, just with a quick video to show off my current build project and the idea behind it. It's a Puncture Shadow Assassin crit build, and I'll be using a Death's Opus as my main weapon, at least for the current time. I may swap it out for a Harbinger later. I'll then be using that with a Drill Neck and Pierce for the extra damage, and then a Kintsugi for defenses, and a Rat's Nest. Those are the items that I've currently planned out for the build. And the nice thing is that all of these items here, you can get that for a couple of chaos each, depending on the rolls of course, and the sockets of the Kintsugi. The gem setup I'll be using is Puncture, Rapid Decay, lesser multiple projectiles, increased critical support, physical projectile attack damage, and Pierce. In the beginning though, I will be using faster attacks instead of Rapid Decay until I get a good amount of attack speed in the tree. That said, Puncture is not exactly the best leveling skill, and I have been trying that out. I'm actually using it now. I wouldn't suggest that. So if you guys are interested in doing something similar to this, I would instead just suggest equipping 2 Axiom Perpetuum Scepters together with Blade Vortex and whatever other support you like for that, and then use that all the way up until level 32, where you can get the non-upgraded version, the Death's Harp. Let me see, I think I have one of those to show you. Yes, a Death's Harp. And then at this point in time, you should be good to swap over to Puncture. The skill tree is pretty straightforward: bow, crit with a bit of extra damage over time nodes and some bleed nodes. But let's talk about the Ascendancy first, because that's what makes it a little interesting to go for something like Puncture. I have the standard ones, so Unstable Infusion to get power charge on non-critical strike, and I have Deadly Infusion. So that together with the 5 power charges I'll be able to obtain and the increased crit gem will probably make it so that I have a very high and reliable crit chance, and I want that for the Puncture to really deal its damage. Then I'm gonna pick up Noxious Strike, where it says attacks have 30% chance to cause bleeding. That's not too interesting for us because we're already guaranteed bleeding because of Puncture. But we have 40% chance to poison on hit against bleeding enemies, so that's kinda nice. We have 50% chance for attacks to maim on hit against poisoned enemies, and then we have 30% increased skill effect duration if you've killed a maimed enemy recently, and that applies to the poison and the bleed effect. So that of course increases our damage over time. Then I also have Toxic Delivery, so we take reduced damage from damage over time effects ourselves. We gain 20% of physical damage as extra chaos damage against bleeding enemies. That's good for our poison. And then poison you inflict with critical strikes deal 100% more damage, and bleeding you inflict on maimed enemies deal 100% more damage. So that's why, again, it's very important that we have a high and reliable crit chance. So the Assassin is pretty cool for this type of setup here. But as you can see, I just start with the physical and chaos damage. I spec into some crit here. I have the damage over time here. And the nice thing about this is also that it grants a bit of life regeneration per second. So if we want to use Blood Rage together with the remaining other stuff in the tree, we will have enough life regen to sustain it. I'm picking up some projectile nodes because they doubled it with poison. Power charge, of course, to scale it effectively. Here's the Pierce nodes together with the Pierce gem that will allow us to reach about 100% increased chance to pierce for 100% increased damage with Drill Neck. I also pick up Fatal Toxins for a nice boost to the damage with poison, so overall that's a 70% boost, but we also get 10% additional chance to poison on hit, which adds to the chance to poison on hit on here, so that's 50% chance to poison on hit now with this. More crit, Frenzy Charge, and this is actually the only Frenzy Charge I pick up, and that is pretty much because it's the most efficient one. It gives us increased evasion per Frenzy Charge as well by branching into this, and I felt that was worth it. Crit bow nodes. Then down here we are picking up Dirty Techniques, 40% increased damage over time, 10% increased skill effect duration, and 25% chance to poison on hit against bleeding enemies. So we're now at 75% chance, if I remember correctly. Another nice thing is that we're picking up King of the Hill, which is a nice boost to our crit chance, but the important thing is also that it knocks back enemies if we get a critical strike with the bow. When you're knocking back an enemy, that counts as moving, and then your bleed effect will deal that much more damage. I'm also picking up a bit of life and mana leech. I'm not sure if it's going to be necessary, we'll see for later. And then of course just more life, projectiles, and attack speed, all that stuff. And that's the idea behind the skill tree here. Unfortunately, I don't have any gameplay to show off yet because my character is still only level 29, and the amount my Puncture deals now is, well, it's not very impressive, so I don't want to show you that. But in a few days I'll show off some gameplay once we get the character rolling. If you're interested in checking out the character's progression besides the YouTube videos, check out my Twitch channel. This is the character I'll be playing over the next few days. But that's what I wanted to show you guys. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?